I am back competing in chess. It was literally only like a month ago since my last tournament, but I love playing over the board chess tournaments, and I've set up a New Year's resolution for me to play more over the board and compete more in 2024. So I'm just starting early. I am right now in Stockholm, my hometown, competing in probably the biggest Swedish international chess tournament that there is. I am at Rilton Cup, which is a huge chess tournament with a bunch of grandmasters and people from all over the world coming to Stockholm in winter when it's literally like minus 10 degrees outside to compete at chess. Can you imagine? Like, there's people from so many warm countries. They're right now in Sweden in December. I am sorry for them, but I am very happy because I'm from Stockholm, so it's really fun to see such a big tournament, you know, at home, pretty much. So I am participating in Rilton Elo, which is the second division of the tournament for people that are rated under 2200. And my starting rank is number 8. So my goal for this tournament is actually to win it. Sounds pretty crazy, but if I do a really good tournament, I do think that I can play above like a rating of 2200 if I'm like playing my best chess. So I do think that there's a possible chance for me to win the tournament. But obviously, today I played round number 1 and I was facing a 1700 who was lower rated than me, but I had not really had time to prepare before my game because I had to set up my stream. I am live streaming all of my games and you can catch that on my Twitch channel. But I had a lot of tech issues and I was running around for 4 hours before the game and it was complete chaos, and I managed to fix everything 5 minutes before the game started. But what happened was that when I went up to the tournament hall, I was like, okay, stream is good. A game of chess, Anna? We're playing chess today? So I had no idea who I was facing. I had not prepared at all, and I was terrified of going to a game unprepared. It is always very scary. But I was playing against 1700 Alexis Duault. I'm sorry. He's French. It's a French name. I don't know how to pronounce it in French. Please let me know how to pronounce it in French. But I was facing him and I had the black pieces. So he started by going 1d4, I went d5, and he played the queen's gambit. Now, I went e6 to defend the pawn, and here I actually thought for a little while, which wasn't really that necessary, but I absolutely hate it when my opponents do what I typically do. And so here, I was really scared that if I went like knight up, that he would capture my pawn and that we would enter a queen's gambit, like decline, but like the exchange variation. I play this with white and I think it's awesome and I don't like facing it. So yeah, I didn't want to face that. So instead I went c6. And I used to play this when I was a little kid and call it the triangle opening, but it's not called the triangle opening. But anyway, so he brought out his knight and I developed my knight too, and then he went bishop g5. And here in this position, I just stopped the pin. He went e3, and all of this is like really standard stuff, and I just developed my other knight. Now, my idea here was that I was actually waiting for him to basically develop his bishop because I wanted to be able to take this pawn with a tempo, because now he's forced to move his bishop again. So now it's like this turn that he did was for nothing, pretty much. That's the idea. So he captured back, I went b5. The idea here is that I get a lot of like queenside space, but he gets a little bit of center. So I'm trading my center for getting like some space on this side of the board. And here I was feeling pretty comfortable, but I went for this move b4. And spoiler alert, my mom would end up roasting this move. She thought this move was not good. The idea of this move is that I wanted basically to... my idea is that I want to go c5. I want to defend this pawn and I want to go c5. But obviously I cannot go c5 right now because then this pawn is hanging. So I thought either what I do is that I go like bishop b7, a6, c5, or I go like b4, bishop b7, c5. And I didn't want him to be able to go a3 and ever stop my move b4, so Yeah, that was the reason for me going for it now, but I think this is a mistake. But he ended up moving his knight, and now I did a little bit of another creative move. I did an Anna move, okay? I love chess when I feel like there's like no boundaries to it. When I feel like I can do exactly whatever I want, that's when I love chess the most. And I was feeling very creative today. So I was like, okay, Anna, you don't really know this theory. You probably should, but you don't really know this theory. Let's be creative. And so I play this move, Queen A5. Now, what is the idea of this move? Well, the idea of this move is that I'm immediately threatening B3 check. So let's say he does something random, then I have right now B3 check. And then, well, if he ends up going check, going back, then I'll be able to bring up my bishop. So that is the idea with that. But I'm also stopping him from going knight c5. I was kind of scared of him trading and then going knight c5. I thought that this was the most important key square of the whole board. And I was also just kind of wanting to stop him from going knight e5. So these were my different ideas here. I thought that my queen was pretty good placed, and I also thought that I'm stopping the knight from moving because then the bishop is hanging, and I'm stopping this queen because then this knight is hanging. So he ended up just castling, which was a good move, and I was thinking here for a while, but I ended up developing my bishop because I wanted to threaten going c5 and then taking this because then this bishop would end up being weak. So he went bishop f4, and I was like really relieved when he did this move. Like, I genuinely think I looked at him and just like breathed out because it was a very passive move. It was once again the same thing as before, that he basically wasted now a tempo in the opening by going here and then going back. And this may seem like little, but this extra turn actually matters a lot. And at this point, we had both thought for a very long time. I had 44 minutes left on the clock, and so did he. So I was feeling kind of good because at certain parts of the game, it felt like he thought it was boring that I was thinking for so long. Like, I would like think for like 20 minutes, and he would like look at me, and then he'd like look around, and I was like, okay, you know what? I know that I'm taking a long time. But then he thought for a long time too, and then I felt a bit better because I was like, okay, now we're on the same boat. So I was feeling pretty good about that. But I castled here, and he did once again a pretty slow move, which was h3. And now all of a sudden I felt like I had gotten, like, because he hadn't done anything crazy, like he hadn't like immediately tried to stop my plans, I realized that I now had time to do everything that I wanted to do. So my plan the whole time was just to push the c5 pawn. I knew that if I'm able to push c5, I am not going to be worse. I may not be better, but it will be an equal position at least. So I really wanted to push this and open up my bishop, because this bishop right now sucks. It's like really bad, right? So I thought, do I go c5 now? The reason I didn't do it was because I saw that if c5, he has takes, and after takes, I wanted to take with the bishop, takes, and knight takes, I realized that he had bishop d6. And I'm not really sure exactly how this is, because there's like a lot of like different things, but I really wanted to keep my knight, and so I didn't want to allow him to trade the knights, even though these pawns end up being very weak. I should be better here, but this was the reason I didn't do that. So instead of going c5 immediately, I started by moving my rook to d8. Now, here I really thought that he was going to go something like a3, or something like knight d2 to try to move the knight around, or even knight e5 I was looking at, but he ended up just going queen c2, and I once again felt like I was gaining some time. So I now went c5, finally. I was able to do the move that I had like been waiting for so long, and here I felt like it was definitely equal, and it felt like a position that I was very comfortable in. So he took, and I decided, because I wanted to keep a little bit of the play, I wanted to be able to have my knight being very annoying, I decided to take with the bishop, because I thought that this would be harder for him to play, kind of. And especially when I was facing someone that was lower rated, I was also trying to do moves that I thought might be difficult for him to handle. So here, after I took back with the knight, I'm threatening to take his bishop. I'm also kind of threatening to take this knight, although I'm not sure if I wanted to take it, because I also want to keep my bishop. This bishop is not very strong. So he ended up going bishop e2. And now I was looking for a long time and I really wanted to bring up this bishop and like threaten the queen. But then I realized that he can move up his queen and try to trade it. And I did not want that. So I brought in my rook and I was really happy because now both of my rooks were in the game. And he went queen b1. And when he did this move, I was like jumping out of happiness. I was like, okay, Anna, we got this. I was like giving myself a pep talk. I was like, okay, Anna, we got this now. Like, these light squares were so weak in my opinion. They were so weak. I really thought he would do something like rook d1. I think this is what he needs to do. But when he moved his queen, it was like his third move that was kind of slow. I just immediately realized that I could threaten his queen. And when I did this move, it almost seemed like he hadn't expected it. It almost seemed like he was, you know, kind of confused. Maybe he missed it. So he moved his queen, and now I brought up my knight. The idea here is that I am actually just completely winning because he's going to lose his rook. He cannot now, I'm threatening his queen. He cannot move his queen to either here, 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 or here, or like anywhere, because then I'll be able to take this bishop and take the queen. He must capture my knight, but then when I capture his bishop back, his rook is trapped. So here I thought that he was going to go a3 to at least try to win a pawn. The idea here is that after I take the rook, well, he's going to be able to win this pawn because I cannot capture back because my queen is hanging. But he did a move that kind of made me jump out of my seat too. He went knight d4. And obviously, my initial thought is fork. But it's not a fork because he has this move threatening my queen in the meantime. So I'm not going to win a piece. But here, actually, I ended up capturing the rook. The best move is for me actually to just go e5 immediately. And the idea of this is very nice, is that after queen b5, after he moves his bishop, I am forcing a queen trade. And being an exchange up when the queens are off the board is just almost an instant endgame win. Especially in this position because I'll be able to bring up my rook. So this is almost just an instant win in this position. But instead, here, I started by capturing his rook. And then after queen takes e5, now we had the same thing as before, but we didn't have a queen trade. So this is still very much winning for me, but I only had 12 minutes on the clock, and I still had to do 17 moves before I got extra time. So we both had little time. I was still feeling pretty confident, but yeah, I was a little bit worried about my clock. So he went bishop here, pinning my knight, and I knew that I was completely winning, and everything that I wanted to do was that I wanted to dominate the board. I wanted to make sure that his rook could not come in and take space. So I thought as long as my, rooks and queen are in the center of the board, I'll be doing fine. I wanted to go a5, but I was scared of his queen coming in, which was a stupid thing to be scared of, but sometimes we're scared of ghosts that don't exist. And that was me during the game, especially when you're low on time. So I went rook d6, I just brought up my rook, and then he brought up his queen. I didn't really see what the idea of this was. I was actually kind of scared of him going like f4. But he just went queen here, and then I went a5. And now he took, I cannot take with the pawn because then I have a check and I lose the rook. I ended up seeing that. So I took with the rook, and now he brought his rook in. And now I started to get a little bit worried because it was like everything that I wanted was to have a lot of space, and I didn't have space anymore. But I just had to make sure that I didn't get back rank checkmated. So I gave a little bit of air for my king, which is called in chess terms Luft, because it's the German word. And it's also the Swedish word, Luft. Yeah, if you want to sound like a pro chess player, you can say Luft, and then people will know that you're really good at chess. Add that to your vocabulary. Okay, so I gave a little bit of air for my king, right? And he brought up his queen, and now I only had 4 minutes left, and I saw a lot of pawns hanging, so I started shaking here. I started feeling like, okay, Anna, like, let's not mess this up. Like, come on, Anna. I was just trying to be ultra sharp focused on the game. No distractions, nothing else, just focus. So I ended up here going rook c2, threatening this f2 pawn. I knew that I needed to give him some counterattacks. He offered a trade of rooks. I took it, and now I didn't really know exactly how to defend everything. But I thought, okay, let me threaten checkmate in one because I'm low on time and I wanted to gain some extra time. And he went e4, which I thought was a mistake because now I had this move, rook d6, threatening the knight, threatening the piece, defending the pawn. My queen is attacking the pawn. If he moves back his queen, well, then this is very passive and then I will have no problem at all because then I'll finally take activity and the d file. So he has to move the knight, but then I'm very important that I do not take this pawn immediately because then I lose the rook. I have check. After the king moves, I take the pawn, and now I knew that I was winning because I didn't see how he was going to stop the threat of queen f4 check. I didn't know he was going to stop it. The only way he could stop it was with a trade of queens. But I calculated, and I knew that the trade of queens was winning for me because my rook would be able to pick up these pawns. So he went check. I forced the trade of queens. And here, it looked like he was going to resign. But he did not resign. So he played a few more moves, took my pawn, I took this one. And now the key move, he went here so that if I take this pawn, I take this. The key move here was f3. And in this moment, my opponent resigned. And I was so happy after the game. It's like always whenever a game finishes, you just feel like you're like on a cloud. Like you feel like you are like in another planet and you're finally landing back on Earth. And that's what I felt like. I had been so focused for the past like 10 moves of my game because I had been so like, you know, stressed with my time that I was so happy. I could like finally breathe out. And I was so happy to get the win. And maybe you've heard on my voice that I won the game. I don't know if it was possible to hear on my voice. I didn't sound so sad, but I did not want to hide it. I am very happy that I won the first game of the tournament. I was facing a lower rated opponent, but these games, like, you need to win them. It's not just, oh, I'm facing a lower rated insta win. No, you have to win the games. And I'm actually really happy with the game because I ended up having an accuracy of 95%, which I think is really good. So my opening was pretty bad, but after that, the game was really good. So I'm really happy with the game. And after the game, I told him, good luck with the rest of your tournament games. And he said, what? And I was like, oh no, please do not think that I'm saying something bad. I'm trying to be nice. I was like, good luck with the rest of your tournament games. And he was like, no English, no English. And I was like, I'm sorry, bye. So that was a bit awkward. But yeah, super fun to be back playing over the board chess. I will be playing every single day for the next 9 days. Apart from the 1st of January because, you know, New Year's the 31st. But apart from that, I'm playing every day. So we are back with daily YouTube videos, daily recaps of every single one of my rounds. But not only that, if you want to see the game live and see my mom's commentary, and you don't want to watch that on Twitch, I will link my second YouTube channel, Anna Cramling Extra, where I'll be publishing all of my VODs so that you can see when all of this happened live. So I'll be putting that in the description box down below as well. But thank you so much for watching this. I am so excited once again to be back competing. This is my favorite thing in the world to do. And my goal for this tournament is actually to win it. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but I am ranked 8th, I think, in the starting rank. So I have a chance of winning this tournament if I do a good job. I also obviously want to get over 2100. So rating is the goal, but apart from that, I want to win this tournament. So wish me luck for tomorrow's round, and let's see if we can do it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Bye!